first of all, this is a really cool tune, which Barry plays. If you haven't heard Barry play it, it's on a record called Last Time I Saw Paris, which is the name of one of the tunes. Last Time I Saw Paris is a beautiful record, and he plays this tune. So now, E flat major, well, so E flat, obviously that's E flat major. Now look what happens if, first of all, notice the relationship between the chords, E flat major, A flat 7. What is that relationship harmonically? 1 to 4, right? So E flat's the 1 of the key, A flat's a 4th away. Now, this is a bit of a review question, what do we know about outlining that movement with the six scales? I mentioned my idea of I call it hybrid scales. And so you run a family member into another family member. Well, if you take that principle and if you apply it to the family of E flat, if you run E flat major to E flat minor, guess what? The minor is the 4 dominant. Right? So, now why is that? Because of how we think of locating the 6th chord for a dominant, which is, the first one would be the minor on the 5th of the dominant. So that, in this case, that would be E flat minor. So it gives us a reason to practice a major 6 to a minor 6. Right? There's E flat major. Here's E flat minor in short. If I put the A flat down, I can use A flat 7. Right? So that's what's going on. E flat major to E flat minor. And so against the A flat, now you see things are bigger. Barry would always say, well, there's nothing over an octave. He didn't believe in the 9, 11, 13 stuff anyway. He thought everything was inside, and it was a question of stacking dominants to get those altered notes, or it was a question of doing something like this, considering the diminished notes involved. So F is a diminished note. So here I'm playing E flat minor with F, and I've got a D in here as well. They're both diminished notes of E flat, major or minor. So, so anyway, that's how I would square away the first bar. Okay, E flat is from the 6th, F is a diminished note, corresponding to E flat minor 6, which A flat 7 is E flat minor 6 in terms of sixes. Okay, so now the second bar, this is a pretty cool example of a diatonic movement. So if you take a look at the next 2 bars, so the E flat major bar and the G minor 7 bar, so there's that little jump, right? But basically it starts off by walking up that E flat major scale. 1, 2, 3. Jumps to the 5th, jumps to this, and then the 6th. The next bar starts with the 7 of E flat. Okay. So now we have some choices. We could just harmonize it up the scale because that's 6. F is diminished. G is from the 6, E flat 6. B flat is the 5th of that E flat 6, and C is the 6th of E flat. Okay. So that kind of tells us what we've got to deal with, and you can just start harmonizing that. You know, you could, that's going into the next bar, but you could just play block chords right up the scale. Just keep that melody note on top. That would be one way to do it, right? Barry does a rather interesting thing here in his rendition of it. And you might recall that in the first class I gave out a sheet that showed the 6 diminished scales and a couple ways of practicing them. And one way was up, and one way was contrary motion. So we had this kind of thing, right? it to use in this melody. He said, okay, well, this E flat is surrounded by diminished notes. Those diminished notes are surrounded by the 6. So that got him that far, so far. Let's see. That's what he played. So I think he did it in octaves. I'm thinking about it now. So we have. Right. So that everything means something here. The contrary motion is a very useful device. Beautiful way to practice a scale, but you can actually put it to use, and this is a nice example. So why don't you try it in just single notes to begin with. So this 6 is going, I'm going to go contrary motion on that scale from the 6 to the diminished, back to the 6, now it's a 6 again, B flats and octaves, and now I'm going to play the A with the C. And now this is a bit of a cheat, I'll admit. I'm thinking to get to that G minor, I'm thinking I'm coming down from that minor 7 just down chromatically. I'm pretty sure this is what Barry did anyway, but this is where it's a little different from harmonizing it on that E flat 6 scale. So I'm going to say this is what he did. So we've got the 6 diminished, 6, the 6 again. I'm playing, well, you know what? Now I'm looking at this. The truth is, this is like a walk down. This is the major to the minor. That's the minor with the 6 in the bass if I want to treat it as A minor 7 flat 5. And that's how I just played it. So we've got major, diminished, to the relative minor. We could go through the diminished, but that's not the melody, so I'll leave it out. To the major with the 5th in the bass, to the minor with the 6 in the bass. There it is. It's a walk down. I didn't realize that until just now. And then I could go chromatically through A flat something. That's a technical term. Because A flat is a tritone of D, and that's where that minor with the 6 in the bass would take me. Right? I could go like this to get to the G minor in the next bar, right? But I could also keep the chromatic thing happening and just come down chromatically using the tritone of D, and that's what happened. So he said. That's the move. And by the way, that D7, G minor, C7, you can play those chords, but you see we have this movement too. G minor, now here's the 7 of G minor, which is the 3rd of D, D7. Then we go to the flat 7, which is back to that G minor 7 in the 3rd bar, or B flat 6, the 5th of B flat. And that falls to the 6th of the G or the 3rd of C7. So the movement really is this. Now if you wanted to harmonize it, yeah, you could play all those chords, but now you know what's going on. That's what's going on, right? But it's... Okay, so That's a cool spot, and it's a cool example because it does something different. It doesn't just move up parallel or move down parallel. It actually does a split and goes in contrary motion.